mean, some people, if they pay $2,500 and just rent per month if you live in the city, well, you can't even afford a family anymore.
You've got granite countertops. Electric prices keep on going up. Taxes keep on going up.
You take all of that out of the equation, what if your contractor doesn't show up?
Saddlebrook, building dreams and transforming lives. We believe in the Lord and faith we know.
Guys, welcome to the first ever episode of the Tiny Home Podcast powered by Saddlebrook. Man, I'm your host, Chris, and man, I can't be more happy to start this to inform you guys and educate you what are tiny homes. Guys, today I'm super excited to introduce the owners of Saddlebrooke, Kyler and Kolton. Give it up for them, guys.
Glad to be here.
Yeah. Guys, well, obviously, thank you guys so much for being here, right? Tiny homes, right? It's kind of a interesting topic because not a lot of people know what are tiny homes and why are tiny homes so important, right? So, I mean, before we get into the deep questions, Kyler, can I ask, how did you start Saddlebrook? What is Saddlebrook? I mean, what are tiny homes in general, right? How did you get your start?
So going back to 2018, I co-founded it with my dad. It started originally by building a 12 by 16 shed in August. That was August of 2018. So we built, I'm not even sure how many sheds, 600 and some sheds before we got into the tiny home
by
industry.
2020.
Which
awesome.
COVID hit, then that led us into that industry saying, hey, there's a big demand, there's a big shortage of affordable homes, there's a big shortage of people needing that minimum space. It might be for a backyard, it might be for, hey, I'm a dad or I've got a parent that's older that needs to move back closer to home, or it's just a project that somebody was wanting to bring on. So going back to that, Saddlebrook wasn't founded on tiny homes. It was founded in this portable building space.
Okay.
But then COVID hit. We've seen the demand for it. We've seen the people that needed affordable home, house prices. If you go back and look how much house prices have gone up since COVID, even from then, into a first-time home buyer or someone that's trying to buy a home, they could get one,
Yeah.
So that's the beginning. I could go into a more deeper story, but that's how it started. Started with the 12 by 16 shed, and it just kept on growing.
Wow, so that's pretty unique. So Saddlebrook was founded on basically sheds, right?
Yep.
So you guys going from sheds to tiny homes, what are the kind of challenges you faced going from a 12 by 16 shed to now we're building 20 by 60 finish outs, right? So what are some of those challenges you faced, and how do you overcome something like that, right? That transition through tiny homes to sheds to tiny homes, Colton.
I think the biggest thing is, we had to change our whole process up back there in production because, how you build a shed is not how you build a home. And with a home, you're thinking about, what color of your faucets, what color your shower heads are going to be, all of these small details, because you're building, you're taking people's life savings and maybe their biggest purchase of their lifetime that you're making with us, you're investing with Saddlebrook. So it's a lot more detailed, it's a lot bigger of importance to know what you're doing. And so I think the biggest transition was from a shed to a home was figuring out, okay, what do the customers want? What's the needs of America right now? And what we're going through even today is I kind of foresaw back in 2022 was the affordable housing. It's going further and further away. Now the median home price is well over $400,000, and if you take that into a mortgage payment of 30-year financing, well, it's well over $3,000-$4,000. Yeah. And so that to Americans in everyday American life, New York living is a lot different than Texas or California. And those high rents that now the corporations are charging, it's to where Americans can't even afford to live anymore. They're just, they can't afford to dream anymore. And so I said, okay, how do you take that and put a product together that they can actually afford their first time home or, afford to even build a family together? Because, some people, if they pay $2,500 and just rent per month if you live in the city, well, you can't even afford a family anymore.
You got to have roommates and everything.
Right. And so that's going from a shed.
Yeah.
A shed is a mere necessity that you have a lot of junk in your garage or you need extra space in your house. and you need extra, it's a shed, backyard shed. There's a big market. There's a big market for it, but I like feeling the need of actually seeing, we've seen families get changed. Their whole lives have changed because they've invested with us, and now they're building their families. Like, we get so many success stories of their families are living in it. It's, they're 21 years old. They just got married, and now they own their first home, which it's awesome. It's amazing. So the process that it takes from building a shed to a home, well, we took the expertise that we learned, but we had to learn so much more to build a house that it's unbelievable now that we build hundreds of homes per year now. That's and awesome, we're going to continue building even more.
That's awesome. Yeah, so one of the things I caught onto what you said is affordable living, right? I was looking at a stat which is crazy. The average home price in the whole United States is $360,000. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're talking about lowest to highest, and that's pretty insane. Like you mentioned, 2020, COVID. Mm-hmm. I mean, the world kind of went crazy. I think we could all agree on that, right? Mm-hmm. But when we talk about affordable living, I mean, what are these homes kind of ranging in price, and what are we doing to actually target the affordable living market?
Our average square footage is 832 square foot, which is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And if you put that on a 30-year mortgage, you're talking about well under $1,000 a month. That's just less than people pay for rent. Less than right. And so now you're talking about, getting families out of the city, out of renting, of just, spending their money every single month and not gaining towards anything, gaining towards, their first home ownership. We even have a lot of people that now have come to us and said, okay, I have a 4,000 square foot house, but even with the taxes, with, what electric, everything is running, they're now downsizing and saying, hey, I'm having to pay for my kids, so now I have to downsize into a smaller 800 square foot, 1,000 square foot home.
Yep. So it's funny that you said downsizing, right? Because that is something I noticed. People are not only going tiny homes for the affordability, they're going into it for the space.
Correct.
I mean, with these tiny homes, like, you're basically getting creative with the space, because people are going from 4,000 square foot homes to 1,000 square foot tiny homes, right? Like, what have you seen? Like, what can you say to people who are on the fence, who have a 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom house, but really live alone and really don't need that? Like, what would you say to someone who's on the fence?
The market that we're going to, what I'm seeing now is the people that are making that switch, they're coming in here and they're looking at the space, because if you think tiny home, right? If I'm thinking tiny home, with what I'm seeing out on TikTok or Instagram, the reels and everything, I'm thinking 399 square feet. I'm thinking I've got my stairs going up and I've got this much room.
I mean, I've seen those tiny homes on like Facebook pages. You go in and you go right out. So
yeah, but so here at Saddlebrook, what we did is we took that 399 square feet, we turned it into, our average size is 832 square feet, where it's cathedral ceilings. You got a laundry room, you got a full-size laundry room, you got a full-size kitchen, right? You've got granite countertops, you've got the washer, the dryer, the dishwasher, stove, microwave. You've got the master bedroom, all cathedral ceilings. You took that small space and you said, hey, I want a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Yeah. How do I go from a 4,000 square feet house where I'm not even using the 2 bedrooms? I have all this heated space. I'm having to cool heat during this Texas, for sure in the Texas heat, right? And going into this next season where the economy is, what's the price? Electric prices keep on going up. Taxes keep on going up. What we figured out is saying, hey, how can we take a 4,000 square foot home and put it into a 832 square foot home, and how can you make it like livable, right? Yep. So I think when you walk in here and you're thinking tiny home, and I'm like, nah, it's way too small. But when you walk in, all of our customers says, wow, this is all I need. Yeah. Because I've got everything here. It's less cleaning, it's less electric. Your monthly payment and your expense goes way down, so you can actually live a good life, a peace and profits. And that's all what it's all about, is how can we. And it's not just living, moving in from a 4,000 to an 832 square foot home. We've got people that are buying these for Airbnb properties. It's buying these for their parents. It's buying these for their kids for their first time home. It's making it affordable for the American dream. And that's what we're doing, is we're making it affordable for people that can't invest in a $300,000 or $400,000 mortgage, that still want a home, or the 4,000 square foot home is not it's more
not
than they
appealing
need.
anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing that we have figured out is how can we focus on the American dream and how can we put someone where it's not tiny, but not 4,000 square feet.
Right.
So when you walk in our homes, you walk into cathedral ceilings, you walk into a big living room, and when you go on our website or on saddlebrookelife.com, you'll see pictures of people that, and then we've even got customer success stories of people that moved from those big houses into these, and those stories, they're like, this is all we need.
And I think the biggest thing is like they compare these to an RV. They think of an RV. Well, once you take an RV off the lot, it's valued at. It's just like a car. It's valued so much less after you take it off the lot.
It's like people think it's like driving a car
right.
off the lot.
Versus, and there is a minimum square footage that, allows this now to be real. It's considered in the real estate world as real property, or the mortgage world as real property. And so now you're taking something that's affordable, but now you're not only taking, let's take a mobile home for an example. As soon as you take a mobile home off a lot, it's valued at so much less because that's what, a comp is what they call it.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, so let me get this straight. You're saying that people who buy tiny homes or homes from Saddlebrook in general are literally comparing or competing with regular stick-built homes?
Correct. So now you take a home that we build here, and I like to use this example. Let's just say you went to Ford, Chris, and you said, okay, I want this F-250.
Right.
And they said, okay, well, it's going to take 3 months, but I have to come. I'm going to bring all of the parts to your driveway, and I'm going to assemble your truck at your driveway. Well, 9 times out of 10, they couldn't get the production that they needed if they did that.
Right.
It's the same with housing, and we're one of the only few, and there's a few out there now that have figured out this side of things of, how do you take the housing crisis that we have and build it a lot faster to, catch up to the need of affordable housing in America. And so it takes the same concept of, like a car manufacturer, you're multi-manufacturing, multiple cars at one time, and you're doing it all under one roof. And so if you take, rain out of the equation, snow, wind, anything that you have with a normal stick-built home, well, you take all of that out of the equation. What if your contractor doesn't show up
Yeah.
for 2 weeks? We've had that happen. And so you take all of that,
a nightmare.
and you take all of that under consideration. Now you look at and you hire one person. They're gonna do the whole process for you at one property. And so now we figured out a solution how to take this and turn it into real property to where you can put a 30-year mortgage. But here's the good part. Now, an average everyday American, when you buy a mobile home, you're not actually gaining equity, you're losing equity. Versus now, every time you make a payment, just like a house, I believe the average per home that goes up is 5%. You're gaining per year, so you're gaining that equity every year versus the pay down. So you're actually not losing money, but every time you make a payment, you're appreciating the asset.
Awesome.
And then let's say you want to move out in 4 to 7 years. Well, now that home's worth so much more because it's actually still considered new housing.
Yep. So the more you talk about like what we build here at Saddlebrook, the more I'm starting to realize there really is minimal differences from our homes to a regular stick-built home that you would buy with any realtor, right?
Correct.
And one of the biggest things I wanted to kind of mention is, man, we're building these. I mean, you guys are building these in record time. It is crazy. If you see a home and the foundation gets set, if you go with a regular contractor, I mean, it's like a year before you even
6 months to a year.
Yeah, before you even get to sleep in your home. How have you guys streamlined that process so we're not cutting back on quality and they're still getting a home set in 3 to 4 months? Like, that's pretty insane.
I mean, I think it's just, you have, let's take a contractor, for instance, and I've worked with so many great contractors, that I've worked with personally, but they can't control if somebody shows up to work or not. Versus here, we control all of that and say, we have employees that show up, whether it's raining. We don't get a rain day here. We don't get a snow day here. Like we have a controlled environment to where we're working at all times. And, we've compressed a 1-year process of building a home into 90 days or less.
Yep.
And so, another instance, Chris, is just look at a construction loan interest that it takes, that you're going to have to spend as a homeowner. You're going to have to spend interest on everything that you draw for your construction loan for a whole year. So imagine saving that in less than 90 days, where you cut your cost by 75% in just your interest.
Man, that's pretty awesome, guys. I mean, it seems like we're literally building dreams.
People don't know about that.
Yeah.
People don't realize the money that you're spending on interest if you got to wait a year. Because you can't, if I'm a homeowner and I'm building a brand new house, I can't control if the contractor's going to show up or not.
Yeah.
Like there's no control there.
That's true.
Other than the fact that I'm hoping, again, for his word that he's going to show up, right?
Yeah.
So some of those little things that cost extra, people are not realizing.
Yeah. And I love that I'm part of something kind of bigger than just like tiny homes, right? Our slogan. I wanted to touch on our slogan, right? Building dreams, transforming lives. Mm-hmm. Like we have talked about, we did touch record time, affordable living. People who were maybe in an apartment cooped up, no space, now have a whole home that they could host Thanksgiving or even Christmas at, right? Like, do you guys recall a customer story, maybe like a testimonial of a customer who really was transformed or really was, we saved their lives by kind of giving a roof over their head or kind of providing a product that they never thought would be possible for them to get 2-3 years ago, right? Do you guys have any stories?
Tell us a story about Christina Willis.
Yeah, so Christina Willis,
So she is a Saddlebrook.
she's a Saddlebrook homeowner now.
Yeah, awesome.
And so, 3.5 years ago, she was living in her car.
Wow.
I believe 3.5 or 4 years ago, she was living in her car. And now, and then she was taking care of all of her grandbabies as well in that space. So what we did is now she lives in one of our largest homes, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,200 square feet. There's, I believe, all of her family lives in there with her. They're down in Rusk, Texas.
Nice.
And, it's amazing that, she was a single mom trying to just do everything she could to provide for her family. And now she's living in this beautiful 1,200 square foot home. All of her family's there living with her. And I believe her daughter's getting remarried. I'm not sure about that. But just amazing stories like that. Don't quote us on that.
Christina, if you're watching, give us a call. Let's fact check that, right?
But you take all of that to say that's only one story, and we're touching hundreds upon hundreds. And, a part of our giving back is, last year we gave to an organization for, mental health for U.S. veterans. So, like, we took a house that we have, we just gave that to them to use for, veterans. And so I love the giving back. I love the stories that we get to experience. I mean, one of our sales guys, even this morning in our meeting, was, he was tearing up this morning for, a testimony that his customer gave to him and how it changed his life, an impact that we can make. And I feel that we're called to, for the kingdom of God, to not only change lives at church, but change lives in the business and the everyday marketplace. So I love that we can make a difference, for the kingdom of God in everyday marketplace and everyday business.
Yeah, man, that's really awesome, man. And the more time I'm here, the more I'm realizing it's just more than us, right? Like, we're tapping into a market that just needs so much help. It's crying for help. I mean, I'm originally from New York City, right? We have bigger cities down here in Texas, Houston, San Antonio, Dallas. I literally went on the site, Section 8 basically affordable housing, the hub, right? I don't know what it's called down here in Houston. There is a 7,000 person waiting list for affordable housing. 7,000 people. I mean,
in just one city.
In just Houston. So you're literally talking about years. If you sign up today, it'll probably be 2030 before you get a call that there's availability for you, right? And I kind of want to segue into another category, which is investors, right? Because we're starting to see a lot more investors intrigued by the idea of tiny homes, right? Not only is investing in tiny homes a good idea, but you're also tackling the affordable home program that maybe the government can't fund, right? So what are some experience with investors you guys have had? Like, How are they using these tiny homes, and kind of what market are they hitting?
Yeah, so we've got a couple different investors. So we got investors that invest these in for setting them up on a ranch, doing Airbnbs. We've got investors that buy these for what was one in Arizona we did where there's
Long-term rentals.
long-term rentals,
Yeah.
Short-term rentals, mid-term rentals. So there's different investors that come in that buy anywhere from 12 to 26 to 40 at a single time. But when you do that,
Right.
you get the speed. Number one, you get the speed because if you're an investor, you're looking at ROI. What's my return on investment?
Right.
And how fast can I get these on my property in order for me to start renting these things out? Because I'm having to pay for it, so I'm having interest, and I need to, in order for me to rent it out, I've got to have the house there. So you're looking at speed. Number one, you're looking at speed.
Time is money.
Time
Hey,
is
you
money.
guys know that.
And you're looking at factory direct. So when you come to us, you're not going through second, third, fourth
Right.
party. You're coming directly to us, where you're working with us, and you're working saying, hey, this is what my community needs. This is the floor plan that I need for this community. This is what we're working with, right? So we go through all the engineering, the civils, and we go through all those things to make sure that we can fit the needs of that particular investor.
Yeah.
And what I told the investor the other day is saying, hey, he was giving me an idea, he's showing me his vision of what he was wanting, and I said, matter of fact, I'll build something that looks different than everybody else. So when you put
Right.
this in your area, it's going to look different. So as an investor, I'm an investor myself. I look at ROI. What's the return on investment? How long is it going to take to get my money back? And then if I'm going into an area, how fast can I get that development done?
And I think the other part that investors are now seeing, and if you're, if there's an investor that's seeing this and, you want to call us or whatever, that's great. But I think what they're seeing is, you see, if you go to a big city like Dallas and you see all of these townhomes going up and people are going there because they have no other option.
Right.
But if you could give them an experience and say, okay, you can live 10 minutes outside of Dallas, you have your own backyard, you have your community pool, you have your community laundromat center, whatever, and you create this experience for this individual. They might be single. We're working with investors like with retirement communities, 55 plus and older, and all they want is peace of life.
That's interesting. So 55 and older. So they're literally building communities for who are they targeting? Like single men, couples, like what is it?
All of the above. They have to be 55 and older. They're senior living, so they get, they make it to where they're all 80U handicap accessible. Everything that we need to do to make, maybe they want or wait 20 years and then they have to have a wheelchair. Well, we make it accessible for a wheelchair, accessible in your showers and your toilets, everything that you need to be, up to code on that. But, they're bringing in nurses that, they can even live on the property in one of the homes. They can have assisted living there at the homes. But, they get to have their own little piece of park outside of the city life that they've experienced over the last 40, 50 years. And now it's, it's a whole community. And then they create friends, they create family inside of that community to where, now it's a new lifestyle.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. If you're accustomed to city living, parking is one of the worst things. Mm-hmm. The fact that you can go from living in a city, I mean, you're not alone, but you're not with a whole hub of people, right? And I like that we're talking about this because it's so important, right? As I'm in real estate myself, just like you guys, and we know how unrealistic the market has gone, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of investors right now sitting on a 1031 exchange having to pay taxes because they can't find another deal. Or let's say fix and flippers who can't find a home because the margins are not there. Or just people who don't really want to deal with permits because permitting takes a year, 2 years, and they're losing money.
Right.
It's so important to talk about this because they don't know about tiny home communities, right? This is something we could get started right away. I mean, how do you guys help investors that are sitting on money that want to build a tiny home community? Like, yes, we're manufacturing their homes, but what other services are we providing them and guiding them into this investment, right? Because it's so new compared to, let's say, townhomes or multifamily.
Correct. And I believe it goes to what that investor's exit strategy. Do you want to hold it for a year? Do you want to hold it for 10 years? So it all depends on your exit strategy. I believe in investing, but here's what we can offer. We can offer the financing as an investor financing.
Yeah.
So if you want to, finance the whole project, the land, the homes, your underground, everything of that, we can do that. We can help you if you want to create a community and sell that community off one by one. We do have in financing that, we can offer that homeowner now as part of the package. We have, a lot of these guys are now in-house and say, if you need a lot of dirt work done, we can do that. If you need, aerobic systems and septic, if you need concrete foundations done, if you need a structural engineered plan, if you need a civil plan, if you need site plans drawn up to, submit to a county board or a city board, we have the resources now to provide all of that for you.
Right. So that's pretty awesome. They're coming in for the house, but we can offer the full package.
Down to each permit.
Yeah, we're not
That's
just
really
a
awesome.
tiny home we don't just build the homes. We can help with the whole process to make sure that it goes smoothly because we've made all those connections.
Man, that's really awesome. Yep. So before we end, I kind of want to hit this point real quick. Tiny home myths, right? So we talk about affordable. We talk about the dream that you couldn't get, right? But one of the biggest myths about tiny homes that I hear is, yes, it's affordable, but the quality is also bad. Like, what do you guys think when you hear that? Like, how can we debunk that right now? Just because it's affordable doesn't mean you're cutting back on quality. I mean, you were talking about quartz. Right? I don't know. Quartz doesn't seem cheap to me.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because going back, so our background is in the Amish, so we've got family where we come from as Amish. So, if you look at the Amish, you look at craftsmanship, you look at quality, you look at all those things. And when I built the first shed, the quality probably wasn't as good as it is now, and we're always improving our quality. But in our tiny homes, what we're putting in there is stainless steel appliances. We're putting granite and quartz countertops. We're putting top-notch cabinets,
Farmhouse sinks.
sinks, and so we're going the extra mile to make sure that, hey, if you're moving in from a 4,000 square foot home, you have all those things. But when you move into a tiny home of 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 832 square feet, you still have some of those amenities. You still have the quartz countertops. You still have the good quality cabinets, right? So going back, that's a process that you have to build. We build these as we would build our own home.
Yeah.
These are, like he said, we don't build these on a assembly line where we're pumping them out as fast as we can, even though we've taken it down all the way to 90 days or 90 to 120 days. We are still building with high quality materials and making sure that we would build them just like we would build our own.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So, final thing that you did say is, I remember you were talking about mobile homes, right? A lot of people want to compare us to mobile homes, right? So they kind of reach out to us trying to compare, like, hey, this mobile home was this, but you guys are at this. Like, what's the difference between a mobile home and a tiny home?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I go back to the actual, the cost per square foot and the actual, the appraisal that you're gonna, if you want to finance or if you're interested in your investment as an investor or even just an end buyer, that this is stuff that you need to know that, they're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
And so, as an appraisal standpoint, I've seen mobile homes start at $110 per square foot. But then I've seen our home start at $140 per square foot on the actual appraisal that, appraisers are taking. So that's the number one thing. And the other thing is, mobile homes, they've been around for years upon years upon years, and they're considered the cheapest housing in America. Well, we're taking the actual stick-built home that we would build on your property, and we're building it here. But here's the idea that I give to everyone else, that the quality that we have to build to. So imagine that you build a home, and once that home gets there, you still want it to look brand new.
Yeah.
And so what we have to do is we have to take that and say, okay, I have to build a home so strong that I can pick it up, put it on a trailer, have that trailer and truck drive approximately 50 to 70 miles per hour to get to your property, miles upon miles, take it off the trailer, set it on your foundation, have everything ready, and still look brand new. How do you do that? Yeah. And so you have to build it with so much quality and care to where throughout the whole process, you're still buying a brand new home. And I feel like, I can I've talked to multiple mobile home owners, and they said, once they got there, they had to spend 2 weeks just repairing stuff. And, anything can happen on delivery. And I 100% agree. If you have a tree limb, damage a piece of the metal roof or something like that, anything can go wrong in delivery. But they're saying, they're repairing walls, they're repairing electrical issues, they're doing all of these things that, we take pride in and say, we want your house to look like it's brand spanking new at your property when you walk in the door.
That's awesome. Awesome. And before we end it off, I just have one final question. There's a huge elephant in the room for a lot of people that have tried to get tiny homes, and that's financing. Obviously, we really haven't been around for a long time, and, financing has been slim for a lot of future tiny homeowners. I mean, we literally officially have financing. Like, isn't that something to be happy about? Like, I just want to ask,
long time coming.
How did you even pull that off? And, like, what can future tiny home owners expect financing with Saddlebrook?
I think how we pulled it off is a lot of great people on our team that, we all had one single goal, is how do you solve the affordable living crisis in America? So, we have a lot of great bankers that we work with, a lot of great investors on the back end that, you might not see, ever see, but they play a big part in this. So I don't want to take their credit away because, without them, we couldn't offer what we offer. We have one of the very few in America financing for these types of homes. And so, if you own your land, if you have 13% down, we can guarantee that you'll get approved more or less, depending on your credit scores and your debt to income ratios and all of that. But now we can literally take a 30-year mortgage on one of our homes.
Man, that's really awesome.
And here's the good part. If we, throughout the whole process, we can start on that process after everything's submitted, and we can start your build in less than 14 days on some occasions.
And I want to touch on that is because when this all began, we got into tiny homes, we got into this. From day one, we knew we had to figure it out. Growing up, I'm an 8th grade dropout, he's a 6th grade dropout. We knew in order for us to care about our customers, and that's one thing we do here at Saddlebrook. We care for our customers, and we've seen that big need, and I see that need out there in not just in Texas or Arkansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana. I see it all over the United States. So we decide, hey, how can we come together and how can we create something for our customers? Because we care for our customers, because it's a big need, right? So not only did we fight and we did everything we possibly could to find this, it's because we had a bigger meaning behind it, because we wanted to make sure that we can offer financing when someone wanted to come in and buy a home, that we can offer them financing, So not only did we worked hard, we do all that, but deep down, that's what we do here at Saddlebrook is out care, and we want to care for our customers.
Man, well, that's really great, guys. Well, listen, I appreciate you guys coming on. I mean, it's been an awesome chat, and guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the Tiny Home Podcast powered by Saddlebrook. Drop a like, drop a comment, and listen, if you have any questions that we couldn't answer on this podcast, drop it down below. Any suggestions, drop it down below. Till next time, guys.
1, 2, 3